टाइम सुना दे।
हाँ सेम स्टाइल
जैसे आज मेरे को कुणाल के लिए सुना के दीजिए। की क्या तुम तो ऐसे बोल रहे हो की।
Good evening, everyone. May I have a reply in the comment section? Are we good to go?
की क्या तुम तो ऐसे बोल रहे हो की।
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so let's get started with the discussion, guys. I hope I'm audible, visible. There was some issue, I guess. The session got live late, I think. Okay, then let's start with the discussion. So, today we are going to start with a series for SEBI Grade A 2025 examination, and we will be discussing the questions related to finance and finance MCQ based questions will be discussed. This is class 1, that is part 1. I have taken up or I have created a format for you that I will be discussing around 20 questions. I will be discussing around 20 questions in every class. I will be discussing around 20 questions in every class. So today I have a mixed bag. And in today's mixed bag questions, I will be discussing questions from all the way, or I would say all the finance related syllabus. And after that, from after today's session, I request you to please comment the topics on which you are planning to seek questions related to finance so that you can understand those topics pretty well and you should be in a position to answer those questions in your examination as well. ठीक है जी, तो ये काम आपको करना होगा इस क्लास के बाद कमेंट सेक्शन में मुझे बताना होगा. चलिए तो पहले क्वेश्चन की ओर बढ़ते हैं, लेकिन उससे पहले इफ यू वांट टू डाउनलोड द पीडीएफ ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर सेशन दैट विल बी अवेलेबल ऑन माय टेलीग्राम चैनल व्हिच इज इकोनॉमिक्स बाय माधव अरोड़ा. स्कैन द कोड एंड जॉइन द टेलीग्राम चैनल फॉर श्योर. Here we go with the first question. The first question is related to listing disclosures and board meeting timelines. I repeat, listing disclosures and board meeting timelines. Which statement or statements are correct? The first point. Under the LODR, a listed entity must disclose material events arising from a board decision within 30 minutes of the closure of the board meeting. Is this point correct? Is this point correct? Please go for it. पहला पॉइंट है कि सर LODR की मीटिंग के बाद जैसे वो मीटिंग होगी उसके 30 मिनट के अंदर अंदर आपको बताना होगा कि क्या डिसाइड हुआ. क्या ये पॉइंट बिल्कुल सही है? अगर ये पॉइंट बिल्कुल सही है तो गिव मी यस सर इन द कमेंट सेक्शन. तो पहला पॉइंट है कि सर जो रेगुलेशन 30 है ऑफ एलओडीआर, उसमें बहुत क्लियरली अमेंडमेंट करने के बाद ये क्लियर किया गया दैट इट रिक्वायर्स अ डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ मटेरियल इवेंट्स और इंफॉर्मेशन for board discussion. The regulation and the SEBI circular states that the disclosure shall be made as soon as reasonably possible and in case not later than 30 minutes from the closure of the meeting. So this point is absolutely correct. दूसरे पॉइंट की ओर बढ़ते हैं. LODR requires listed entities to disclose annual audit results within 60 days. कि annual audit results जो है वो within 60 days बताने होंगे after the completion of the financial year. तो इसका आंसर है सर LODR prescribes the timelines for quarterly as well as annual results, but specific 60-day rule is not standard for the annual audits. हाँ, यहाँ पे timelines हैं, लेकिन आप कहो कि ये 60 days की कोई timeline है, that is not correct. So this is going to be the wrong option. अगला, अंडर द LODR. अच्छा, कोई ऐसा तो नहीं है जिसको पता ही नहीं है कि एक्चुअल में ये LODR है क्या, किसी को कोई डाउट आ रहा हो? इफ यू डोंट नो, आई वुड लाइक टू डिस्कस दैट पॉइंट फर्स्ट, क्योंकि काफी सारे स्टूडेंट्स प्रेजेंट है, बट आई थिंक दे आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो LODR, whenever we use this word, it is listing obligations and disclosure requirements. It is listing obligations and disclosure requirements. It basically refers to a set of regulations which are issued by SEBI that mandate how listed companies must disclose information and fulfill their obligations to the public as well as exchanges. So ये जो rules हैं, these rules are basically designed to ensure transparency, to improve corporate governance as well as to protect investors' interest. So पहला point है, purpose क्या होगा? To ensure listed companies, you should share the accurate and timely information. Second is regulations cover a wide range of topics. Third is authority. The regulations are issued by SEBI and are the key part of India's security law. These are some of the points which you need to remember related to LODR. Under the LODR, the listed entities must send intimation of the board meeting to the stock exchanges 7 days before the meeting where the final results will be considered. क्या ये point सही है? सर, ये point भी गलत है. There is no universal 7 days before notice requirement for all the board meetings. Under the LODR, notice period for the board meeting is governed largely by the company's articles and companies act. So LODR requires intimation of board meeting where the result will be considered as per the exchange requirement. लेकिन ये 7 days का कोई विंडो नहीं है, तो यहां पर ये पॉइंट भी क्या होगा? गलत होगा. अगला, related party transactions which are material require approval of audit committee only and not shareholders. क्या ये पॉइंट सही है? नहीं सर, this is wrong. Material related party transactions often require approval from both audit committee as well as the shareholders. उन दोनों के बिना you are not allowed to confirm or you are not allowed to complete the particular transaction. LODR requires an immediate disclosure to the exchange about any change in independent director resignation and reasons for the same. तो अगर हम इसकी बात करें LODR की, तो इस केस में हमारा आंसर क्या होगा? सर, जो LODR है, LODR जिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हम बात कर रहे हैं, सर LODR बेसिकली इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट इट रिक्वायर्स व्हाट? सर, इट रिक्वायर्स prompt disclosure to the exchange about change in independent directors along with the reasons and confirmation of any other material details. So timely disclosure or timely disclosure of the director change is a standard LODR requirement. जिसको नहीं पता दोबारा बता दूं, LODR का मतलब क्या होता है? सर, इट स्टैंड्स फॉर लिस्टिंग ऑब्लिगेशन एंड डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट. उसके बेसिस पे अगर हम बात करें विच स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट, सर ई स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट, क्योंकि LODR रिक्वायर्स इमीडिएट डिस्क्लोजर करना होगा टू द एक्सचेंज अबाउट एनी चेंज इन द इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर रेजिग्नेशन एंड रीजन. तो अगर आपका कोई भी इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर रिजाइन करता है, you have to disclose it right away. So answer is going to be A and E are correct, but B, C, D statements are incorrect. समझ आ गई बात? Is this point clear to everyone? If this point is clear to everyone, just give me yes, sir. So it is listing obligations and disclosure requirement. Listing obligations and disclosure requirements. याद रखना, जब आप सेबी ग्रेड ए एग्जामिनेशन के लिए जाएंगे, एट दैट पर्टिकुलर मोमेंट फाइनेंस से रिलेटेड जो क्वेश्चंस हैं, दे विल बी मोर और लेस रिलेटेड टू सेबी एज वेल एज सेबी ऑपरेशंस ओनली. तो आपको ये बात बहुत ध्यान से समझनी है कि सेबी से रिलेटेड हर एक एस्पेक्ट को यू हैव टू कवर इन मच डिटेल. गाइस, मे आई हैव अ रिप्लाई? दैट इज इट क्लियर? दिस पॉइंट इज क्लियर? अगले क्वेश्चन की ओर बढ़े. अगला जो क्वेश्चन है वो और ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट सेगमेंट से मैंने वो क्वेश्चन आपके लिए फ्रेम किया. सो लेट मी नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन सो दैट आई कैन मूव अहेड. प्लीज क्विकली let me know in the comment section so that I can move ahead. Give me yes sir. Okay, moving on to the second question. So the second question is related to insider trading and trading window. Which statement is or are correct? I hope आप सबको पता होगा what is this insider trading. So whenever we use this word, that is insider trading, it basically means when the employee of the company, not exactly the employee, when an individual who is at a important executive or policy making position, it uses the internal information to enjoy the profits in the near future. आपने internal information की वजह से shares खरीद लिए, shares बेच दिए, तो that process is basically known as insider trading. And remember that this insider trading is illegal, and in case of SEBI, we can say SEBI charge or SEBI comes up with a strict norms and policies against the insider trading initiatives. लेकिन अब यहाँ पे जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, it is related to insider trading, PIT and trading window. First option is unpublished price sensitive information includes a draft MOU for a material merger even if not legally signed. तो ये जो insider trading PIT है, इसका क्या यहाँ पे पॉइंट है? एनी आइडिया गाइस? व्हाट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर टर्म व्हिच इज रिटन इन द ब्रैकेट? कोई मुझे बता पाएगा? व्हाट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर टर्म PIT ओवर हियर? एनी आइडिया? सर, इट इज प्रोहिबिशन ऑफ इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग. इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग लिखा हो या PIT लिखा हो, इट इज बेसिकली प्रोहिबिशन ऑफ इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग. तो प्रोहिबिशन ऑफ इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग पे पहला पॉइंट है unpolished price sensitive information includes draft MOU for a material merger even if not legally signed. So UPSI is any non-public information that could materially affect the price. So draft MOU for the material mergers, they are classic UPSIs. UPSIs means they are classic unpublished price sensitive information examples because they are price sensitive even before the signature. So SEBI prohibition of insider trading definition covers such information as well. So this is correct. Insider trading में this information is also included. That is correct. Moving on to the second. SEBI PIT regulations, they allow insiders to trade during the trading window if they pre-clear the trade and compliance officer gives the permission. What will be the answer? Sir, PIT rules जो है वो permit करते हैं trading by the designated person subject to pre-clearance by the compliance officer and compliance with trading window norms and the code of conduct. अगर ये है तो that case you are allowed. For quarterly financial results, trading window must remain closed for the quarter end till 48 hours after the declaration of the financial result. क्या ये point सही है? This is also word by word correct. SEBI has clarified trading window closure periods for designated person generally close from quarter end till 48 hours. The company must maintain a structured digital database for all persons who had to access UPSI. This requirement applies only to the top 100 listed companies. This is absolutely wrong. SEBI ने require किया कि maintenance of structured digital database of persons they have access to UPSI, but that is not limited to top 1000 companies. SEBI has progressively required the digital database maintenance for all the listed companies. So यहाँ पे कोई narrow set नहीं है या narrow subset नहीं है. SEBI's PIT regulations permit a company to allow trades by insiders after plea clearance even if the person possesses UPSI at that time. No, it is wrong. If a person possesses UPSI, they are prohibited from trading even if they seek the pre-clearance. तो उस केस में कंपनी उन्हें अलाउ नहीं करेगी. तो आंसर क्या बनेगा? ABC, यूनिफाइड प्राइस सेंसिटिव इंफॉर्मेशन कम्स अंडर द कैटेगरी ऑफ इनसाइडर ट्रेडिंग. मजा आया? क्वेश्चन अच्छा लगा? मजा आया, क्वेश्चन अच्छा लगा? इफ इट इज क्लियर, यू वांट मी टू गो टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, जस्ट गिव मी यस सर, जस्ट गिव मी यस सर. चलिए, moving on to the next question. Read out this question, guys, first. This question is related to takeover, code thresholds and mechanics. उसके बेसिस पे ये क्वेश्चन एक बार चेक कीजिएगा. गिव मी द आंसर्स. आई एम गिविंग यू 20 seconds to read and answer. हाँ जी, एनी आइडिया? नहीं? चलो, लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. टेक ओवर, कोड थ्रेशोल्ड्स एंड मैकेनिक्स. अगर कोई भी कंपनी दूसरी कंपनी को टेक ओवर करती है, उससे रिलेटेड क्या क्या कंडीशंस हैं विच आर ought to be followed. So in that particular case, the first one, if I talk about the mandatory open offer is triggered if an acquirer crosses 25% of voting rights in a target company. तो अगर हम बात करें इस particular regulation को, we call it as SAST. In this, we call it as SAST regulations. SAST regulations. And if I talk about the SAST regulations, they specify acquisition of 25% or more of voting rights or in change control as one of the triggers for mandatory open offer. So that point is correct. तो अगर आप टेक ओवर के केस की बात करेंगे तो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस जो आपके पास मैंडेटरी ऑफर होना चाहिए, मैंडेटरी कैपेसिटी होनी चाहिए, वो कितनी होनी चाहिए? सो दैट शुड बी ऑफ 25% वोटिंग राइट्स. अदरवाइज you will not be allowed in that particular case. So substantial acquisition of shares and takeovers is the term which is used. Cripping acquisition allows only acquirers to buy additional 10% shares in the financial year without open offer obligations. Is it correct? So this is wrong. Standard cripping acquisition usually limit is 5%. Usual limit is 5% shares in financial year, not 10%, which is the commonly tested figure. So rules, they have precise wordings. That is example, up to 5% additional acquisition in 1 year may be permitted under the condition. So 10% will be incorrect. Cripping acquisition it will be up to 5%. Open offers, they must be made at least 26% of the target's voting capital in a standard mandatory offer. So open, अगर मैं बात करूं ओपन ऑफर्स में, तो इन केस ऑफ ओपन ऑफर्स टिपिकल mandatory open offer sizes or size as a minimum 26% of the target company voting rights, which means 26% threshold is an important memorization item which you need to remember. So this is correct. Interstate transfer among promoters for consolidation of holdings is always exempted from the open offer requirements. क्या ये point सही है? नहीं sir. Interstate transfers among the promoters may be eligible for exemptions in the specified cases such as intra-group restructuring, but are not automatically exempted. So that particular statement is wrong because they are not automatically or always exempted. SEBI's takeover regulations, they require the acquirer to make public announcement and file an open offer document within 4 working days of the acquisition. This is absolutely correct. Within 4 working days of the acquisition is very clearly mentioned. So keeping that in mind, ACE is the correct answer for the given option. ठीक है जी, clear हो गया point? I hope. Pradyum, it is clear. Let's move on to the next one. अगला question क्या कहता है? अगला क्वेश्चन कहता है कि सर अगर आप बात करेंगे म्यूचुअल फंड्स एंड लिक्विडिटी रूल्स की, विच स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट? सेबी म्यूचुअल फंड रेगुलेशंस अलाउस AMCs to offer equity linked saving schemes with lock-in period of 3 years. Is this the point correct? So this is absolutely correct. SEBI mutual fund regulations में बहुत clearly mention है कि if you are offering the equity linked tax saving mutual fund schemes with a statutory 3 years locking period under the income tax rules, this has been clearly mentioned. Next point is the minimum net worth requirement for an AMC is 10 crores. No sir, this is wrong. If I talk about the minimum net worth requirement for asset management company, historically it is 50 crores. It's not 10 crores. Remember that. This is classic memorization fact for the examination. बार बार इस पे क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं. Moving on to the next, for debt fund, SEBI's liquidity framework require AMCs to maintain a liquidity buffer and publish a weekly risk indicator. क्या ये point सही है? Word by word, this point is correct. For debt fund, SEBI liquidity framework requires AMCs to maintain a liquidity buffer as well as publish a weekly risk indicator. Next point we have is D option. Net asset value computation for liquid funds must be done daily and disclosed by EOD next trading day. EOD by next trading day. Is this point correct? So net asset value computation for mutual fund scheme जो है, it is done on daily basis. NAVs, they are published daily. SEBI regulations require timely computation as well as disclosure of the same. So answer is correct. I hope you remember net asset value का क्या मतलब होता है. So net asset value का मतलब है, for example, there is a mutual fund of 10,000 crores. ठीक है जी. And this mutual fund of 10,000 crore is divided into equal units. Let's say each unit value is 1,000 rupees. I'm just taking an example. So this 1,000 rupees value today, this 1,000 rupees value today is whatsoever it is value, its value is minus charges charged by service provider. So whatsoever charges are charged by the service provider or their expenditure. For example, टोटल फंड कॉस्ट आज 10,000 करोड़ है, उस पे मान लो 1,000 करोड़ का एक्सपेंस है, तो आपके पास जो बची वैल्यू वो कितनी बची सर? दैट इज 9,000 करोड़ डिवाइडेड बाय नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स. अगर एक यूनिट 1,000 का तो नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स कितने हो गए सर? 10 करोड़. करोड़ से करोड़ गया, 10 से 10 गया, तो आपकी जो वैल्यू आ गई वो 900 रुपए हो गई. Net asset value of one unit is 900. Let's suppose in near future the same value go up to 12,000 crores and expense is still the same, so charges are still the same, that is 1,000 crore. In that particular case, net asset value will be 100 rupees. So this is how the calculation is done, and it is ought to be done on daily basis. SEBI mutual fund master circulars require stamp duty of 0.005% for applicable transactions as per 2020 guidelines. This is correct. तो उसके हिसाब से अगर हम चले, A, C, D, E are the correct answers, but B statement is incorrect. Next, alternative investment funds, which statement is correct? Minimum corpus for alternative investment funds other than angel funds is 20 crore rupees. Is this point correct? So this is absolutely correct. Minimum corpus requirement is 20 crores, and AI and AIF must have unlimited investors per scheme. सर नहीं, ये गलत है. हर एक AIF स्कीम के ऊपर जो इन्वेस्टर का काउंट है, that is capped. Generally it is 1,000 investors which is capped. So keeping that in mind, this is wrong. For an investor to invest In AIF, the minimum ticket is 1 crore unless the scheme or circulars say otherwise. So for an investor to invest in an AIF, the minimum ticket size is generally 1 crore. Lekin this is subject to regulatory updates and expectations. In case of angel funds, this is correct. Category 3 alternative investment funds are permitted to use leverage and complex trading strategies subject to SEBI norms. This is also correct. Category 3 जो alternative investment funds हैं, are the hedge fund style vehicles that may employ leverage, short selling, and complex strategies but are regulated with suitability and disclosure rules. Next, we have angel funds. They have the same minimum corpus requirement as category 1 and 2 of alternative investment funds. This is wrong. Angel funds, they don't have the same corpus requirement because for the corpus requirement, historically, it differs. For angel funds, we have a different corpus requirement, generally 10 crores special investor criteria, but they do not have the same 20 crores requirement. So that point is wrong. So keeping that in mind, A, C, D are the correct answers. So A, C, D is correct. Next, intermediary registration and fit and proper norms. Which of these statements are correct? SEBI intermediaries regulations, they require registration renewal every 3 years for most intermediaries. क्या ये पॉइंट सही है? बिल्कुल सही है सर. रेगुलेशंस, अगर हम रजिस्ट्रेशन की बात करें फॉर सेबी इंटरमीडियरीज, वहां पे ग्रांटेड है फॉर अ लिमिटेड पीरियड, कॉमनली 3 years, एंड यू हैव टू रीन्यू इट ऑन अ गैप ऑफ 3 years और ऑन अ स्पैन ऑफ 3 years. दैट इज करेक्ट. सेबी कैन सस्पेंड or cancel an intermediary's registration on grounds of poor performance, fraud or breach of fit and proper criteria. क्या ये पॉइंट सही है? बिल्कुल सही है सर. अगर हम सेबी की बात करें, सेबी हैज द पावर to suspend or cancel registrations of intermediaries for violation of regulations, fraud or failing fit and proper criteria, which is a fundamental enforcement power under the same. Next point is fit and proper test includes assessment only of financial net worth. ये गलत है सर. It's not only the financial net worth assessment, it is the assessment of integrity, competence, track records, financial soundness and the other factors are also assessed. So this is wrong. अगला पॉइंट क्या कहता है? SEBI intermediaries, SEBI intermediaries rules require merchant bankers to maintain a minimum net worth of 5 crores. This is wrong. This is wrong. Merchant bankers net worth requirements, they vary category by category and they change over the time. 5 crore is not universal number for the merchant banker in current SEBI norms as per the current SEBI norms criteria. So don't assume 5 crores is correct. This is wrong. Portfolio manager must follow SEBI's model agreement templates but may freely set performance fees without disclosure. So portfolio manager जो है वो follow करेगा SEBI के regulations including the disclosure of fees, performance fee structure and use of model arrangements, but they cannot hide or freely set fee structures without disclosure. So this is not allowed. उन्हें बताना ही होगा. बिना बताए, बिना डिस्क्लोज किए, यू कैन नॉट चार्ज, यू कैन नॉट डिसाइड द फी स्ट्रक्चर. सो आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी ए एंड बी. अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. मार्केट एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के बेसिस पे एक क्वेश्चन बनाया मैंने. ध्यान से देखना, मुझे जितना समझ आ रहा है, दीज क्वेश्चंस आर रियली वेरी टफ फॉर यू. यू आर नॉट एबल टू आंसर इट, बट डोंट वरी, डोंट वरी. इन द नियर फ्यूचर आई विल डिक्रीज द लेवल एंड वी विल ईज आउट. थोड़े से आसान करेंगे क्वेश्चंस अगली क्लास से. तो अगला क्वेश्चन क्या कहता है? पहला पॉइंट है सेबी सुपरवाइजर्स recognize stock exchanges, depositories and clearing corporations. क्या ये सही है? बिल्कुल सही है सर. सेबी की अगर हम बात करें, सेबी सुपरवाइजर्स एफएमआईज में इंक्लूड करते हैं हम. फाइनेंशियल मार्केट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में भी इंक्लूड एक्सचेंजेस, डिपॉजिटरीज, क्लियरिंग कॉर्पोरेशंस. इतना ही नहीं, सेबी ऑल्सो सेट rules for their functioning and resilience. So answer is going to be A option. Second option is delivery versus payment settlement principle is mandatory for exchange traded securities in India. So delivery versus payment का मतलब होता है settlement conditional on payment. मतलब जब payment होगी तभी settlement होगी. So it is accepted norm for exchange traded securities to lower counterparty risk. एक तरफ आप पहले स्टॉक देंगे, वो सेटल होगा, तब जाकर पेमेंट होगी. सो सेबी एंड मार्केट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दे डिजाइन एंड सुपरवाइज दीज काइंड ऑफ DVPs, we call it as delivery versus payment settlement. So that is also correct. SEBI's transaction to T+1 settlement for equities was presided by stakeholders consultation. Is that a point? So SEBI moved to T+1 settlement cycle for equities to reduce settlement risk. This was introduced without any pilot period. No, sir, this is wrong. SEBI T+1 पे गया, it's okay, but it was not introduced arbitrarily. It was not introduced without any pilot. Rather, it was first introduced with the stakeholders conditions. उनसे कंसल्टेशन किया गया, उन्होंने हाँ की, फिर फेज्ड मैनर में उसे इंप्लीमेंट किया, धीरे धीरे इसे इंप्लीमेंट किया. ठीक है जी. तो उस पॉइंट पे अगर हम चलें तो उस पॉइंट के हिसाब से सी ऑप्शन इज रॉन्ग. नाउ आई मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट ऑप्शन, दैट इज द डी ऑप्शन. Margin and haircut policies for CCP collaterals are only a matter of exchanges and not regulated by SEBI. क्या ये सही है? So margin and haircut policies जो हैं for CCPs are a part of regulatory framework. SEBI through its risk and supervision powers set or approves managing framework and haircuts. So it is solely an exchange internal matter. इसमें SEBI का कोई रोल नहीं है. It is decided by exchange internal matters, not by SEBI. अगला पॉइंट है, SEBI can direct acceptance of certain corporate bonds as collateral for crisis time RBI facilities. ये क्या है? अगर हम IMF या वर्ल्ड बैंक की बात करें तो उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में SEBI can direct acceptance of certain corporate bonds as collateral for crisis time RBI facilities. इस पे अगर मैं बात करूं तो इसका आंसर ये होगा. IMF और वर्ल्ड बैंक की जो रिसेंटली FSAP रिपोर्ट आई है और पॉलिसी डिस्कशंस हुआ, उसमें रिकमेंड किया गया दैट इट शुड बी exploring inclusion of corporate bonds as eligible collateral for crisis time central bank facilities with appropriate haircuts. While I would say, अगर आप operationalize कर रहे हैं such measures को, it requires coordination. SEBI is the part of oversight decision for the market collateral framework. So this is policy level point and it is not possibly RBI or SEBI coordination area. So that particular moment, it's a suggestion context, that is correct. तो यहाँ पे आंसर जो बनेगा that will be A, B, E are correct. These are the three statements which are correct for the given one. अगले क्वेश्चन की ओर बढ़ते हैं. अगला क्वेश्चन क्या कहता है? कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस एंड इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर से रिलेटेड एक क्वेश्चन मैंने आपके लिए फ्रेम किया. देखते हैं जरा. पहला, LODR requires at least 1/3 of the board members to be independent directors for certain classes of listed companies. LODR आप सब जानते हैं, मैंने अभी स्टार्टिंग में भी बताया. LODR क्या है सर? It is basically listed obligations. I hope you remember that. कोई बता पाएगा मुझे? So it is listing obligations and disclosure requirements. So listing obligations and disclosure requirements, they require at least 1/3 of board members to be independent directors. Is this point correct? So this is absolutely correct. The chairperson being a non-executive requires 50% of independent directors on the board. Agar chairperson is non-executive, then in that particular case, certain LODR rules, they require 50% of the board be the independent director, which is an important governance threshold to remember. So that is also correct. Independent directors, they may always vote on related party transactions in which they are interested. So independent directors जो हैं, they cannot vote on matters where they have a conflict of interest for related party transactions or related policy transactions or related policy rules. So independent directors, they play, I would say, a key oversight role, but they must abide by the conflict rules. So they do not always vote if they are interested, if they are looking forward for that. That is wrong. LODR prescribes that CEO or CFO must certify financial statements and internal controls to the board. ये क्या point है sir? LODR and other corporate governance requirements जो है वो mandate करती हैं CEO को या CFO certification of financial statement and internal controls. This is standard corporate governance control, so that is correct. Companies, they must have minimum 3 independent directors irrespective of the bond size. This is wrong. This is wrong. LODR does not set a flat of minimum 3 independent directors for all the companies irrespective of the board size. Threshold depends on the board size and other criteria. For some large boards, 3 may be relevant, but The blanket statement in this context is incorrect, so I'll not go with it. So answer is going to be A, B, D. Got it, guys? Next question. अगला क्वेश्चन है related to enforcement and penalties. Which statements are correct? इस पे अगर हम बात करें, SEBI can adjudicate and impose monetary penalties under SEBI Act power. So SEBI जो है, it's a quasi judicial, quasi legislative, quasi executive. रूल्स बनाने की पावर है, रूल्स को इंप्लीमेंट कराने की पावर है, और अगर कोई रूल्स को चैलेंज कर रहा है तो उसके अगेंस्ट पेनल्टी या एक्शन लेने की पावर भी है. सो दिस इज करेक्ट. सेबी हैज द पावर टू अनाउंस पेनल्टी इफ यू आर नॉट फॉलोइंग द रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस व्हिच आर सेट अप बाय सेबी. नेक्स्ट इज SEBI enforcement only results in civil monetary penalties. It cannot initiate criminal prosecutions. This is wrong. Insider trading is criminal prosecution, है ना? So SEBI can and does initiate civil enforcement and may also refer matters for criminal prosecution in case of fraud. Maybe I'm just giving an example. So through appropriate channel this can be done. So SEBI powers include initiating prosecution where warranted. It's not only civil. Remember that it's not only civil. SEBI may pass interim directions such as restraining an entity from raising funds or accessing capital market. Is it correct? So SEBI can issue interim directions such as restraining entities from raising funds or trading or accessing markets to protect investors and market integrity. So this is an enforcement tool which is used in urgent cases, not always. So this is correct. Moving on to the next one. What does the next point says? Adjudication order can be appealed before Securities Appellate Tribunal and thereafter to the Supreme Court. This is correct. अगर आपने एक complaint की SEBI के सामने, you are not satisfied with that, then you can go to SAT. If you're not satisfied with the SAT results, you can approach to Supreme Court. That is correct. SEBI has no authority to direct disgorgement of ill-gotten gains. That power rests solely with the court. क्या ये सही है? नहीं sir, this is wrong. SEBI has the authority to direct refund or return of ill-gotten gains in certain enforcement contexts as a part of its remedial toolkit. So this is not only in the court's hand. So this can be done by SEBI. So answer is going to be ACD. Answer is going to be ACD. Next. FPIs and foreign investment rules. Which statements are correct? FPI और foreign investment rules के context में इनमें से कौन सी statement true है? So first statement is SEBI regulates registration and operational rules for foreign portfolio investors investing in India. Is this point correct? So that is absolutely correct. क्योंकि foreign portfolio investment का मतलब ही क्या है? When you invest in the companies or when you invest in the existing organizations, that means you will be investing in the company's equity or debt instruments, and we know that these equity and debt instruments investment is under the part of capital market which is regulated by SEBI. So that is correct. FPI can invest in all Indian securities without any RBI involvement or limits. That is not possible क्योंकि मनी मार्केट का रेगुलेटर RBI है. और अगर हम बात करें FPI के ऊपर बहुत सारे regulatory constraints हैं, that is eligibility constraints, sectoral limits, reporting constraints, और जो RBI rules हैं regarding investment route, limits and custodial framework, they also apply. So it is not true कि FPI can enjoy the investment without RBI involvement. That is not possible. SEBI requires FPI to comply with KYC norms as well as FATCA, CRS and reporting obligations through the intermediaries. That is absolutely correct. ये correct है, ये आपको fulfill करना ही होगा. SEBI's rule for FPI include eligibility, KYC, custody and know your client requirements. Is that a case? So in that particular case, this is correct. D option is correct. Last point, FPI are treated exactly the same as domestic retail investors for corporate action voting rights. Is this correct? No sir, this is wrong. जैसे कि अगर हम FPI की बात करें, they have shareholders rights. Certain corporate action rules, settlement and regulatory reporting may differ in practice, such as nomination, tax withholding, custodial voting mechanism. So exactly the same word is not appropriate. So I'll not take it as a correct answer. So answer is going to be ACD. Is it correct everyone? So these are the 10 questions and unfortunately I think I have got very tough questions for you. आप लोग आंसर नहीं कर पा रहे, but it's okay, nothing to worry, nothing to worry. We'll go one by one, we'll go step by step. मैं अगली क्लास में थोड़े से आसान क्वेश्चंस आपके लिए लाऊंगा, लेकिन मैं चाहूंगा कि you should let me know in the comment section for sure that what type or what topic related questions you want me to discuss. And trust me guys, as I always do, I will dig much deep with respect to those topics, so that सिर्फ आप क्वेश्चन ही सॉल्व नहीं कर रहे होगे, आप उन क्वेश्चंस के साथ साथ उन टॉपिक्स को भी बहुत डिटेल में कवर कर पाओगे. ठीक है, सो डोंट फॉरगेट टू हिट द लाइक बटन बिफोर लीविंग एंड डू शेयर योर topic wise requirements which you want me to cover in the upcoming sessions to go in the comment section below, and I will be discussing it for sure. Yes, I got it. मुझे लगा कि ठीक है, आप लोग अच्छे से प्रिपेयर कर रहे होंगे. You must have gone through with the SEBI rules and regulations, you must have gone through with the SEBI circulars, but I believe it was really very tough. Don't worry, in the next class I'll come up with an easy format first, and then later on we will increase the level. ठीक है जी, चलेगा. I hope it's fine. I'm expecting that you will be hitting the like button. You will be sharing your requirements in the comment section below. ठीक है, thank you so much. Good luck. God bless you all.